Hello everybody and welcome back to this third and final match between these two teams in this best of 3 series from the Netolic Pro League Season 4. This is a match between Mouz, aka Team Life, and Evil Geniuses. So if you haven't watched the previous two games, I recommend you check them out. They're pretty good, and they have some interesting picks, and when I say interesting, I mean it has one interesting pick in Game 1, which is the Witch Doctor, but Team Life surprisingly came back strong in Game 2, and pretty much ran EG over. They had a really strong base siege, and they just managed to overpower EG, so we're got to see if EG can recover. And even though EG's results have been impressive, keep in mind they did lose to Take 5 a couple of times, and, well, I mean, considering that only that Fogged and Eurus have played together and Fear and J have played together, but none of these team people have played together outside of that, then I guess it would be okay if EG need to take a bit of time before they really became an elite team. But under the captaincy of Fear, with players like Universe and Fog, there's really not too much limit for EG's potential. Meanwhile, Team Life, they've been looking pretty sharp, a lot sharper than I thought they would. They put up a good fight in Game 1. I think their draft was just mainly the main issue to their defeat. And Cinerin, playing a mid-role, hasn't really been too impressive, but he hasn't disappointed either. So, Team Life have been looking pretty sharp for the most part. So EG gonna first ban the Wisp, meanwhile Life gonna ban out the Troll Warlord, and now we get into one of this sort of pseudo game. Now, in the last two games, I predicted Darkseer would be a very high priority, but it seems like that was not the case whatsoever, even though Universe does have a fantastic Darkseer. Instead, Naga and Troll, or Naga and Elder Titan, have been on the top priority list, and look for EG if they manage to get the first pick to snatch up Elder Titan, who seems to be in a bit more higher priority than even Barrett these days. So we're going to see how Life responds. If they decide to ban out Naga, Barrett, or Elder Titan, then, well, EG will probably select Elder Titan with their first pick and leave Life to get one of the other two heroes. So Life going to take a bit of time. They're going to ban out the Elder Titan. That's going to leave EG to probably snatch up the bat for themselves. And if they do that, then Life will probably respond with a Naga Siren pick. Again, pretty much just very standard Dota, just a lot of mind games and guessing games on what to pick up. As EG going to take a bit of time. Barrett has been doing pretty well in these games thus far, as he didn't win in Game 2, but he did help win in Game 1, so we're going to have to see if EG decide to try their luck once again, because so far they are 1-1 the series with Barrett on their side. But if I had to hazard a guess, it would be Barrett for the first pick. And we'll see what EG decide to do if they decide to go that route. Are they going to put Barrett in mid? Are they going to put in the off lane and then just have him straight up jungle? Are they going to do something else, maybe get Naga themselves for the first opening choice, or are they going to break the trend and actually get Darkseer in the first phase? Because again, I've been sort of meat riding Universe's Darkseer, but we haven't yet seen it this series. I guess if you've ever seen Universe play and you've ever seen him play Darkseer, then you know he is ridiculously talented. So EG going to take a bit of time, obviously debating, do we want to get Bat, do we want to get Naga, do we want to get something else? I'm not too sure what something else would be. Just about 3 weeks ago, Abaddon was still a top tier pick, but now it seems like he's faded out quite a bit, just because I think he needs a couple too many levels as support, and he is melee, so you can try and verse him reasonably effectively. So EG are going to pick up the Naga for themselves, and I think they're daring Life to pick up the Barrett, since Life have not yet selected the Barrett thus far in this series. But if that is the case, then I think Life would be more than happy to snatch up Bat. But again, Naga does do very well against Bat. Whenever Bat initiates, even with the 4-staff, Naga can just walk in with naturally high base movement speed and drop the Song and the Siren, so that can just immediately negate an enemy team's initiation effect entirely. Meanwhile, Life, they have been using their first couple picks to really get their lanes solidified, whether it be an aggressive child lane. Well, there's the Barrett, like I predicted. I think Barrett is just too juicy to give up for the third game in a row. And if EG gave up Naga as well as Barrett, then you can be rest assured that any initiation would be completely in favor of EG, because Barrett would get the blink initiation, and if there's any sort of follow-up, Naga could drop the Song and the Siren and still manage to isolate the target Barrett was focusing. So Life gonna take a bit more time out. Now, I'm not too sure how Life will run the Barrett. If I had to hazard a guess, it would be Barrett offlane, just because that seems to be the more preferred route these days, even though Barrett mid is still quite powerful. But Barrett doesn't really strike me as a Cinerin hero. Cinerin likes those sort of melee heroes. But Life going to pick up the Visage, and this shows a huge indication that Life want to go on the aggressive. And since Life had the indication that they want to go on the offensive, will we see another Witch Doctor pick by EG, since the Witch Doctor pick wasn't the best aggressive try-in decision, or best aggressive try-in hero, but he functioned well enough for EG to get the win. So maybe EG feel comfortable with the Witch Doctor. And if they do, then you can be rest assured they won't pick up in this first phase. They'll probably wait for one of these latter two picks in order to secure the Witch Doctor. But now Life, I think they've given up a little bit of their hand. They are planning to go on the offensive quite a bit, and that leaves EG a lot of picks to try to counteract this. So EG, if I had to hazard a guess, they'd probably pick up somebody like a Lifestealer to avoid a lot of Visage's soul assumption damage. And even though Nagasiren is a melee support, she does have high base movement speed and can do quite a bit, but EG gonna get themselves a Darkseer, so we're finally gonna see the legendary Universe Darkseer that I've been harping on so much. But Universe does have a really strong Darkseer. This will definitely be an offlane Darkseer, as I don't think Universe plays in mid at all. EG gonna run a defensive trial lane. Life at the moment looks like they're gonna go on the offensive with the Visage choice, but again, Visage, one of those heroes who can adapt in any trial lane situation, and he can even go on the defensive if he really needs to.
Reserve time.
So now with EG, with the Nagasiren as well as Darkseer choice, they pretty much have control over any team fight. The only problem is that they don't really have the best initiation. Darkseer needs to be up close in your face unless he picks up a very fast Blink Dagger, which probably won't be the case unless he just rushes it instead of a mech. Nagasiren, of course, not the best initiator, although she is probably the best counter initiator. But EG, with the Nagasiren, to sort of reset the teamfight scenario and position people into the vacuum wall, which again is not nearly brain dead anymore, but still is not that difficult for a professional team to execute. Life will really have to watch their positioning, otherwise their heroes could be caught in for a world of hurt in a teamfight scenario. Also, this does give Life a little less options, because Darkseer in a solo versus trial situation usually is forced to go in the jungle, but 1v1 Darkseer, if it is going to be a safe lane matchup against Darkseer, Darkseer can pretty much be most, if not all, of his counterparts. And when I say counterparts, I mean the heroes who are usually sent to the safe lane, not the mid lane heroes. He does lose to heroes like OD and Quap and heroes like that, but other than that, in terms of an offlane versus offlane scenario, or a safe lane versus offlane scenario, on a 1v1 matchup not in the middle lane, Darkseer can hold his own against pretty much any odds. Life gonna get their Jakiro, really smart choice, because Fog has one of the best Jakiros in the scene at the moment, and of course, as you all know, Ice Path, with the help of Vacuum, just becomes a ridiculously overpowered ability, so a smart ban by Team Life. However, I am a bit worried, because again, if the initiation doesn't work out, how will Life sort of reset the situation in the team fight? Right now they don't have any AoE abilities outside of Firefly and Visage stuns, so they're going to pick up something that can help control the team fights. Right now they have very strong laning heroes and a good initiator in Barrett, but as you all know, in the first game, even though EG had an Elder Titan, EG showed that eventually when it comes to team fights you can potentially overpower the enemy. But Life gonna pick up the Shadow Fiend. Really interesting choice. So this could be a mid Shadow Fiend, this could be a safe lane Shadow Fiend in a 1v1 matchup against Darkseer. This will not be an aggressive trial lane Shadow Fiend, but with this Shadow Fiend choice, I like Shadow Fiend in the last game because it sort of restricted EG's options, because EG sort of were deciding on their mid as well as their safe lanes at that point. Meanwhile, EG haven't decided on anything outside of their support and probably their off lanes, so EG now have a lot of options, and Shadow Fiend these days, he does function very well in a lot of capacities, but he's most useful in a situation where he can actually win his lane rather than just be challenged, because Shadow Fiend's power is not in that he hits especially hard, which he does, but his power is that he just gets a fast BKB and does more damage than any other hero in the game very early on. So, I don't know, the Shadow Fiend pick seems a little bit too premature for my liking. I mean, Link did play a magnificent Shadow Fiend in game 2, but this is an entirely different circumstance. EG still has a lot of openings, and there's the Lifestealer choice, like I mentioned with the Nagasiren choice. So this will be a defensive Nagasiren Lifestealer dual lane with some other support to back him up. Darkseer off lane most likely, and look for EG to try to secure some sort of strong mid laner who can do reasonably well against the Shadow Fiend. or maybe even a jungle hero that they can look to apply pressure in the lane, since
Reserve
Lifesteal
time.
Naga Siren dual lane is pretty survivable. Naga can of course drop the net to stop any approach, and Lifesteal can just rage out of a lot of scenarios. Meanwhile, Team Life again. This will not be an aggressive challenge. Xiaofin does not function well in aggressive challenge. He needs levels, and he wants to get farmed faster than anybody else. And this is a Timber Saw choice by Life. So, now I'm really not too sure what to make of this, as this is a very experience dependent lineup. If I had to hazard a guess, it would be Barret straight jungle, Timber Saw offlane, Xiaofin. No, Barret mid, Shadow Fiend top, safe lane farming, Visage top, supporting Timbersaw offlane. So looks like Life are going to abandon the aggressive challenge scenario altogether, and EG going to pick up the Witch Doctor. So maybe they think Life are going to still run aggressive challenge, or maybe they said, well, Witch Doctor in game 1 with the stats heavy build worked tremendously to our advantage, and Death Ward just did a ridiculous chunk of damage whenever it was used. So hey, if it ain't broke, why fix it? So both teams going with some very safe options. Again, Life did dominate with Xiaofin pretty hard in game 2, and Witch Doctor was a very strong support for EG in game 1. And if he's not challenged, he shouldn't have too much of a difficult time getting a lot of experience, since Witch Doctor's main weakness is that he does lack for experience. And it'll be interesting to see if, now not challenged by an aggressive challenge, if Life do back off, Fogged will go for the Maledict build. I think he went for the stats heavy build because he felt like he'd be too squishy without it. But now if he's not challenged by an aggressive challenge, the more conventional one... How is it? It's 1 point to Cask, 1 point to Voodoo, another point to Cask or Maledict, and then max Cask and then max Maledict and keep 1 point to Voodoo. If that's the case, if he doesn't feel like he needs stats since he won't be challenged as hard in the offensive challenge, then it could really lead to a change-up in Witch Doctor's build. So Life gonna get rid of the Storm Spirit, obviously fearing the Lifesteal Infest Swarm, and also recognizing that Evil Geniuses does not currently have a mid, but that still does leave Puck in the pool. Meanwhile, EG getting rid of the Bane, recognizing that Life still needs support, and of course, as you all know, Bane does do pretty well against Lifestealer, and considering that there's, well, you know, there's a decent number of disables on the side of EG, but none that are especially mobile
10 seconds
in terms of initiation. Bane could just stay very far back and get off a full duration Fiend's Grip if EG's positioning is not correct. So a good ban by EG, and we'll have to see what Life decide to go for. With the last pick, they really need a support or a jungler, so Visage can get some solo pull experience. But if they do get a jungler, then they're going to be a long time where they're just sitting on their asses, not really doing anything. And that could be time that EG will make up. And EG is experienced dependent themselves, but once they start getting their mojo rolling, they're pretty difficult to bring down in a teamfight scenario, even with the Timber Saw choice. Now, I do like the Timber Saw for a couple reasons. One is that he doesn't really care about, you know, he'll melt the Witch Doctor in a matter of moments. He doesn't really care about Naga Siren's armor or Darkseer's armor. But Life gonna pick up the Abaddon, so there's the support. I really don't like this choice at all. And I can sort of understand where it came from, as Weaver will be the last pick for EG, so it's gonna be... Is it gonna be a mid lane Darkseer after all? It might be a mid lane Weaver, or it might be some sort of dual lane. I'm not too sure. It looks like it will be a mid lane Weaver going up against a Barretter, I think, or a Timber Saw, it looks like. Yeah, Timber Saw. Man. All these heroes can just switch around to a relentless degree. All three of these heroes, Xiaofin, Timber Saw, and Barret, could all go mid, but it will be a safe lane farming Xiaofin. But back to the Abaddon choice, I really don't like it in this role because Visage and Abaddon are really experience-dependent heroes, and if they're both forced to split experience, then they're going to be a long time where they're just going to be farming, getting experience, and really not contributing too much to their team. And if you play too passive against EG, they will find an opening. And if you leave somebody like a Weaver or a Lifesteal to free farm, then Life could be in a lot of trouble. And that's not to say if EG leaves Xiaofin alone, that's going to be a good thing either. Xiaofin, of course, with free farm, can punish EG quite heavily. However, this time they have a Naga, and that changes the tides completely because the Naga is the BKB lockdown support because you pop the song when the other team is in BK, you pop the net, and then you just focus on the Shadow Fiend. So I don't know. I'm not a big fan of Life's draft. I think it's way too greedy. EG's draft not as greedy. I mean, Witch Doctor needs some experience, um, as does Naga, but not as much compared to Abaddon as well as Visage. And looks like they're already going to spot Ace in the jungle. We'll see if EG actually going to play some Observer Wards to block off the Barrett camps, and that looks like it will be the case. Is Fear going to drop a sentry just to block off a camp, and Ace going to obviously be very upset that this did happen. This camp is actually very annoying for Ace because this is the only camp for sure where outside this camp he knows mud golems won't spawn, and this is usually the dire camp that needs to be stacked. But now he might be forced to stack this camp, and there is always a possibility that mud golems will spawn on this opportunity. But it looks like a ward will be placed. Ace already going to pop Firefly. Will bring down this ward without too much problem, but that means he won't have Firefly up to bring down this small camp, and that means he won't be able to get that fast level 2 that he really needs. And it looks like he's just going to break down the trains ASAP, but that is going to do a nice job disrupting Ace's early game by just a bit. I mean, it did disrupt Universe the same way because Universe had to go with the haste rune, but now Ace, well, he's going to get a slow level 2, and that does lead to a slightly slower Blink Dire, although it's not that important. So introducing the players in the teams, Fear is playing the Naga, Fog's playing the Witch Doctor, Jail is playing the Leicester, MS is playing the Weaver, and Universe is playing the Darkseer. Meanwhile, inside of Life, we're going to have Fate playing the Abaddon, Ace Dota is playing the Barrier, Link is playing the Shadow Fiend, Sinner is playing the Timbersaw, and Crit is playing the Visage. Now, a good thing that I like that Life are doing is that they're doing some nice double pulls made because they knew Ace wouldn't be able to clear out this camp fast enough. But this will give Abaddon a little bit of experience as Meow. Sinner is going to die in the already engagement in the middle lane. Oh, the tower just simply focused MSS a little bit too late, and Sinner just only level 1, didn't even have a single point to reactive armor, so MSS capitalizes on his early game prowler and managed to bring down Sinner in a heartbeat. And now MSS has a full level and a half advantage, which is very bad news for Sinner. Now, I don't think Timbersaw should die anymore in this lane, but it'll just be very hard for Timbersaw to actually shut down Weaver. And as you all know, an uninterrupted Weaver can just be disastrous for the enemy team. Meanwhile, I like what Fog is doing. He knows that Cask has a 5-second duration on neutral creep, so he's going to use it to farm since he knows it's not in lanes at all. And looks like Fog is going to once again put a point into stats. We'll see how far he goes this time. Universe on the top lane, just going to do some creep pulls of his own. It's going to get shut down to a reasonable degree, but still, Universe is doing a nice job constantly disrupting creepy loading, and eventually these creeps will get pushed back to the tower. Universe can farm under a bit more security and get some easier experience. MSS, once again, looks like he's already controlling the mid lane matchup. I mean, so far they haven't really given Sinner and good mid lane matchups at all. I mean, Nyx against Clock is definitely in Clock's favor. Weaver against Timbersaw, I think, is in Weaver's favor. I mean, yeah, whenever Weaver Shikuchi, you can pop the Roaring Death, but that's not a guaranteed damage source. And Weaver, of course, being range share with the gem attack can just hurt Timbersaw relentlessly. So I don't know if it's necessarily Cern's fault. Still, it's very annoying unless his Fate is going to find himself open wounds. Should not die, as it's just going to take a couple of right clicks and not even bothering to pop a Photic Shield just yet. And it's good that they report the support down so Barrett can still do his stacks, as now he has the bottle finished, and he will do a continuous job stacking up these camps.
Dire's top tower is under attack.
But this is a good move by Team Life. They're getting one of their very experienced dependent supports a way to actually get experience, which is send him down the offlane. They know he's pretty tricky to kill for the most part, even with only 1 point up into the Aphotic Shield. And I don't think Abaddon is saving up his point for stats. He's going to wait to see what skill he needs, whether it be Mark of Ernest to chase or to escape, or Death Coat to help heal his allies, or go for a self-deny. He's just going to hold on to the skill point for the time being until he really needs it. Siren just taking so much damage. You can see he put it into the Mistcoil just to give Siren a little bit of extra HP, and Faye is just going to babysit him for the moment. As, I mean, poor Siren, he can't really win any of these mid lane matchups, and he's not expected to, I don't think. But I mean, mid is such an important position. You can't just give it up for free. You know, Link is farming, but this time his farm is a lot more disrupted because of Universe's presence with the Darks here, just constantly annoying the heck out of the Visage as well as the Chaffin. He knows without a third support, Darkseer is very difficult to bring down, especially without a stun. And considering Visage only has a slow, you can just easily surge out out of there, and that means Universe can play a lot more aggressively than he would be able to compared to other supports. So Universe already has a solid level advantage. Won't get as much item farm, but is going to get a healthy lead in terms of experience. Universe going to find himself chilled up. Going to take a soul assumption, but I think the second shower rate did miss, and the Visage level 3, level 2 soul assumption just simply was not enough to secure the kill. Meanwhile, Naga, very staring build, has some sentry wards, and it looks like he's just more than content to farm up Jail. That looks like it will be a hand of Midas finished. So a 5-minute Midas, considering he didn't straight up rush the Gloves of Haste. Very nice time for Jail, as now with the Midas finish, he can start getting the experience accelerated, start getting his income accelerated, and soon at 12 or 13 minutes in the game, he'll just be an absolute terror to deal with for any hero on the side of life. You know, Fate only level 2 as now the Creepy Gloom has been controlled. Abaddon did rotate to help relieve some of the pressure, as looks like Cern's going to take a little bit more damage. Does he have access to Timber Chain? He does, but he's not going to use it just yet. He was relying on bottle curling, but you can see, despite him using all the bottle charges, he's still at around less than half HP and not too much mana either, so he can't afford to be aggressive whatsoever. As Cern's going to take even more damage, he's going to have to be very careful, as he is taking so much damage. Might even be forced to bring himself a salve in conjunction with the bottle, but instead is going to pick up a magic stick. You know, Universe, I guess he feels like, alright, got enough experience now, I just want to get some farm, because in the top lane, yeah, he was receiving more general experience, but he wasn't receiving that much in terms of farm. So he's going to instead get that safe farm. He knows he's disrupted Chaofin very significantly, and this Chaofin won't have the very fast BKB. Instead, it looks like he's going for Tranquil Boots, which is definitely not a Chaofin build. So, a really, really nice job by Universe disrupting Chaofin. You know, Fate unable to get any experience, and this is why we're starting seeing Abaddon fade out. He's such an experienced defend hero, and I think he would have functioned reasonably well in this lineup if there was any other support besides Visage on his team, who needs more experience even more. You know, EG gonna finally start their push on the bottom lane. They have the Midas, they have the Naga Siren level 4 cask gonna be used to clear off the creeps ASAP, and you know, Timbersaw gonna be used to help defend the bottom lane, and that is gonna allow the Abaddon to pick up some soul mid experience. And Timbersaw should be able to slow down his tower for the now, but the fact of the matter that he was forced to rotate from mid means that Weaver's going to have even better of a time than he was previously. And you can see Weaver 43-15 compared to Simmons 16-3. That is just a massive differential. So Link looks like he had the Tranquils, he only used it for once to get himself back up to full HP, then went back to the very much more standard Shreds. And I'm not too sure what he's going to do with the Ring of Basilius. Probably keep it a Ring of Basilius and then sell the Ring of Regeneration. Or, who knows. But he obviously didn't mean to buy the Ring of Regeneration. He needed to get Tranquils to keep up the harassment of the Iron Shell from the Darkseer, but now that the Darkseer is not in the lane, well, that's not really necessary anymore. As Fate, 3 hits brings him down to half HP. This Weaver hurts oh so much. And Meow Cern's just sort of caught in no man's land, trying to do whatever he can to farm up, as he was trying to catch out support, but he won't be lucky enough to get through in Crit Will. And we'll see if Team Life can use this to their advantage, but right now, they're losing every single lane. The only good thing is because Xiaofeng can clear off neutrals much faster than any other carry in the game, he has climbed up to the leaderboard in terms of CS, but I would bet that Jo still has a higher net worth because the Hanamite is, well, slightly lower, as actually MSS has a higher net worth because of his first blood kill. So Link just going to continue to farm away, as Barrier, haven't checked him, he's now got his Blink Dagger, so very decent timing, 8.5, 9-minute Blink Dagger. I mean, if he didn't block off, or if he didn't kill this camp fast enough, it would be maybe 30 seconds earlier. But I don't know if that would necessarily mean anything. And now his first target should probably be the Weaver, since Timbersaw should have enough burst damage with the Baton to back him up to kill this Weaver in the duration of a Flaming Lasso. Still, you can see the Rain have a very nice Observer Ward and probably suspecting a barrier gank, and you can see that Observer Ward gets all the way up to this high ground. That means Weaver knows to be very careful. And this ward is such an invaluable place ward, but very important against a jungle Batrider who is attempting to gank your middle lane, and that's why Weaver is playing even more defensively. He's not going for any more harass against Sinner, he's just going for the last hits, knowing he could sneak him, and Barret's already forced to go into the jungle. Meanwhile, Link has finished the Ogre Club, still getting a really fast BKB with the help of that tower death. He still might be able to finish a 13-minute BKB, and that will be useful. But again, Naga Siren, she's close to level 6, and I think she'll hit level 6 before Xiaofi can get the BKB. So the BKB might not mean too much in the grand scheme of things with the Naga Siren getting her ultimate online. Let's check out the items, as Universe has almost the mech finished, level 8, as 2 points of vacuum, very Siren Darkseer build, not going for that early point to wall, knowing that there's not going to be any team fights, doesn't need that point of wall. Meanwhile, Jao, 900 gold, don't think he'll go for the drones build, he already has a lot of his, non-essential items. He might go for something like an armlet into S&Y to help boost his move speed, but I don't even think that's too necessary. Fogged, at that point, the Death Ward has a boost speed, 663 HP, still pretty squishy, and again, Witch Doctor starts out with pretty much no armor, so he's still very easy to bring down. But unfortunately for Team Life, their very early Blink Dagger has not yet accomplished anything, and at this point, Barroward would like to be using his second lasso rather than holding on to his first. But just EG with their nice warding have really been able to disrupt Team Life's counter gank by a significant degree. And now with the Naga Siren ultimate online, that gank is going to be even more difficult to come by. With those dual races, crit is now level 6. His Fear is going to pop the ultimate. Song gonna get the familiars activated, and here comes the onslaught as Weaver. He's gonna go in for Link. They want to focus down Link. They're gonna bring him down. Vacuum will suck Link back. Can he get off the ultimate? He will bring down Universe to solo HP, but look at the Death Ward. It's raining destruction. They're gonna get the Darkseer as Ace gonna come in. He did drop the lasso, but it's just simply not enough. He can't even kill the Naga, but the Visage Familiars will secure the kill. Ace got to be very careful as he will be able to fly on out of there, but MSS knows that Ace will likely blink down to the secret shop, but Ace instead going to blink in the other direction, as we're going to see the first pause of the game. Still a Shadow Fiend kill for a Darkseer as well as the Naga Siren, very much worth it, even though the Darkseer was so close to finishing the mech. I mean, at that point, Xiaofin was maybe about 300 gold away from finishing the BKB. Now he's going to have to spend another minute and a half to finish that BKB, which is definitely time that EG can use to their advantage. That's 60 seconds more that the Naga Siren ultimate will have, or 60 less seconds the Naga Siren ultimate will need before cooling down. MSS still chasing. Rune is going to spawn. Looks like Barret will just be able to secure it. Very lucky for him as the Swarm is going to take in. Oh, Ace has to be so careful. The Swarm. Oh, one more hit. It will spell the end of Ace. He is going to bottle up in between ticks. Going to barely survive on 5 HP. And meanwhile, Sinner just forced to stand around as he does not even have 40 CS. This Timbersaw really just not even good go. But keep in mind, Jail is still farming all the while. He did go for the drums. So look for him to go back into the armlet and then probably go into an S&Y after that. Well, if not S&Y, then maybe Bachelor. But Team Life right now, they're not in a lot of trouble, but it's looking sketchy because they lost their main farmer while the other team's main farmer is more than happy to keep farming up. Barretter, his first lasso, helped secure a kill, but well, he is getting pretty close to the 4-staff, and once he gets the 4-staff, that might be an easier time to initiate, especially with the immense amount of burst damage coming in. But what I'm worried about, the Sabaton, he's literally not able to do anything, not even able to secure level 6. And again, Ban, a pretty experienced defense support. He wants to get these two skills maxed up ASAP. Doesn't really care about the Mark of Avernus so much, but I mean, he wants to get those levels online and wants to get his ultimate so he can dive in a bit more recklessly. So, checking out the early game goal graph, you can see it's ever so slightly in EG's favor, which is troubling considering EG have not yet claimed a tower, so this advantage should be a bit more experienced heavily in EG's favor, and Siren has been able to accomplish nothing in this middle lane, and it's pretty difficult because how is a Timbersaw? Timbersaw is a good chaser, but you can't really keep up against a Magical Moon Lifestealer, a Nagasai with the net, and a Darkseer has maximum speed, a Weaver has maximum speed. It's just, I don't think this is a good Timbersaw lineup necessarily, or a good Timbersaw, a lineup for Timbersaw to actually face. Crit is just going to babysit as Fate is now level 6. Going to drop the cask, but Fate should be okay. He's level 6. Shouldn't care too much. His borrowed time will be activated, and Fate will go back on the offensive. Going to drop the Mistcall, but here comes a Death Ward. Good time, but looks like Fogged is going to survive for the moment. That Death Ward did a ridiculous amount of damage, but still not enough. Fogged going to be on the retreat. Synderen going to approach as here comes the engagement. MSS will time-lapse the Synderen looking to escape on out of their vacuum with the Shadow Fiend on toe. Will be used. Nagasai still has the ultimate online, but looks like both teams will just back off. But 0 kills were expended, and the only good thing is that Ace is able to farm. He has the force. He went for Boots of Travel. I really disagree with this choice, as I'm not too sure what Boots of Travel accomplished, and looks like Life will give up a courier as well, or not courier, a familiar. Boots of Travel is really useful on Barret when you have somebody else who can help gank with you, but who can really help gank with the Barretter? Not anybody. I mean, it's decent in terms of counter initiation, but Shadow Fiend has such low HP that in the span of Boots of Travel activation, Shadow Fiend will probably be dead. And it also helps broadcast saying, "Alright, I'm teleporting in. Come on, Naga, come sing me." Speaking of which, Naga gonna get herself dragged back up. Gonna drop more Napalm Sphere. Gonna drop the Net Fear, will die, as that was a good usage of Lasso by Ace. Picked up a kill. Unfortunately, that means Lasso will be out of commission for the next 60 seconds. And that might allow EG to go back on the offensive. Still, if that was I mean, Boots of Travel showed its worth right there. But I still think Force Staff would just give a bit better odds in terms of teamfight. Gives you a lot less risky initiation. And Barret can still do stuff in teamfights with Boots of Travel. He's a bit faster, he can get to ganks easier, but, I mean, EG has just not been able to show that they're very susceptible to ganks in this game. Universe finished the mech. We'll see what he decides to go for now, as Synderen could potentially be in a bit of trouble. MSS is invisible as Fear's going to come in, will drop the net. Synderen will find himself swarmed up, going to be held in position by the net. Vacuum will suck Synderen right back. Universe or Fog going to drop the caskets. They are going to burst down Synderen. It took a lot of resources as Barret teleported in, blinked immediately back out, and is now lacking quite a bit in terms of mana. Jo, got to be very careful. The tower will fall. So, looks like Team Life were able to get an exchange. But I haven't yet talked about him too much. Jo is still farming ridiculously well with that Midas. So he'll have that armored up relatively soon. And at that point, Leicester can actually fight, not just run around like he's been doing. Weaver, as the Drums Fish, went for more of a utility, combat-oriented build where he can actually survive and do his damage rather than just, wait for Lincolns where he just wants to continuously farm. This is more of a mid-game fighting build, and look for Ichi to go on the offensive relatively soon. Fogged, once again, going to go for a very stats-heavy build, and it does make sense against a Timbersaw who does so much damage that, I mean, Witch Doctor sort of needs the extra bit of HP. Meanwhile, Timbersaw almost has the mech finish, which is good news for Team Life. And Shadow Fiend can now start working on some DPS as he is going to drop the Ring of Regeneration, pick up the Helm of Dominator. I don't know if he's going to straight up rush Satanic like he did in last game. I think he actually needs damage in this game, especially against the Lifestealer, who is going to be very scary in a matter of moments. Barret has a Force Staff, so it looks like Ace with the Boots of Travel has just been able to farm all across the map. This is a really farm Barret, 143 CS in less than 20 minutes and over 7.5k net worth. This is the 4-staff for Barrett, and that means his initiations are going to be very, very solid. But Nagasiren is again going to be a very big issue. If they can't catch up to Nagasiren in the beginning of initiation, the team fight can potentially be reset, and that would just be a very big disruption. That will allow Universe to set up, that will allow the Witch Doctor to set up, and that's just going to be very bad news for the side of Team Life. So I'm not too sure what both teams' game plans will be heading into the mid-game. I assume since we went for a combat-oriented build, each wants to fight relatively soon. But it looks like they're more than happy to farm up. And in terms of the all-out late game, I do favor EG by a little bit. They have Darkseer, best team fighter in the late game. And they have Leicester and Weaver who scale pretty well. And Witch Doctor is one of the better scaling late game supports because of his Death Ward. But Barrett Initiation and Shalfian are definitely no slouches in the late game department either. And Abaddon can render items like Hex completely useless. As Link gonna get open wounds, I don't know. Jail will go on the offensive, gonna do a couple of pot shots. Vacuum will be dropped as there won't be any sort of follow-up. No cast was there to help lock Team Life in position as Fog was staying the heck back, and I think both teams realize that this is a pivotal moment in the game. They're just gonna camp out each other's mid tower to a tremendous degree, but each team might be forced to blink first as slowly but surely the lanes are getting pushed in, and although the tower can hold for the moment, this is a lot of farm being passed up by an EG carry. Now checking out the goal graph, you can see it's back to even. Again, the tower advantage that Life has probably contributing to that, but also Barrett and Chalfian's farm has accelerated to a tremendous degree, so that can largely lead to the goal graph equalizing. Experience graph ever so slightly in EG's favor. 2.5k is, you know, noteworthy in the early game, but it's not an unovercomable deficit. It's something that can definitely be overcome. And now Siren has invisibility rune. They're going to go to work on this middle tower. Once again, Universe going to surge himself forward. Ace will get the last off onto Jail. Will there be any sort of follow-up? Ace going to find himself in Loud Child. Link, he's going to get his ultimate Song of the Siren, so it didn't do much at all. There's the net, and there isn't any follow-up. Here comes the vacuum. No wall being used just yet. Mechanism finally going to be used, but Shalfian's already dead. Barra's already used his last, so they're going to go back onto Ace, or onto Crit. Crit is going to be dead in a matter of moments. Ace going to die right before that, as MS will help clean up the kill on the Visage. And again, that Naga Siren counter initiation, that Requiem, it did something, but without any sort of follow-up damage to lock people in place. That ultimate just wasn't able to do much at all. They were able to isolate the 10-second BKB on the Shalfian, drop the net, and then focus him down in a matter of instants with the Death Ward, which goes through BKB, as well as the Lifesteal right-click. And that's why EG didn't lose anybody in that engagement, and Team Life did lose 3. So things are definitely not going Life's at all. As now Life have taken the first tower, they're going to open up a pretty significant experience advantage, and now Fog is going to start working on his Aghanims. Going to look at it go relatively soon as Link going to get challenged by Jayo. I think Link should be okay. No, Jayo is going to go in. He's going to pick up the kill. That's Speedy Leicester activating the drums and the phase boots. Ridiculous moves being just managed to bring down Shalfian in a matter of moments. Shalfian doesn't have phase boots or anything like that, so he's just forced to stand there. Didn't activate the BKB, or maybe it was still on cooldown from the last engagement. I'm guessing it was still on cooldown, because he could have activated the BKB to dispel the open wounds, but in the end he paid for it. And Jayo is now exerting his presence on the map, 3-0-0. He hits like a truck, gonna get very close to whatever he wants, whether it be an SNY or a Basher, relatively soon.
Familiar faces.
MSS gonna be able to pick up the Perseverance, and that means he's only about 1,300 gold. Well, as I say that, he sells the bottle, so now he's only about 1k gold away from finishing the Lincolns. Fears finished the Vlads. Fogged again is going to be working on that Aghanim Scepter, and Darkseer gonna go for the Shiva's Guard, so it's gonna give him a lot of armor and help increase the AoE damage potential of the EG by a good amount. Meanwhile, the only person on the side of Team Life who seems to be having any success is Ace, but as I said, he's going to be forced to burn his teleport, diving in very aggressively. I don't know if he's just hoping to draw attention from EG while the other team, while his friends went for a different objective, but looks like the rest of Team Life are going to give up a tier 1, and Jayo is just still continuing to go to work. And so far I haven't felt Abaddon's impact on this game whatsoever. And I think Abaddon is a good hero. I just don't think he works in this lineup where there are two very experienced greedy heroes and Team Life are not really a chasing lineup. I think Abaddon works very well as a chasing support and long scattered team fights where you can just drop heals and drop shields and just stand and fight longer than any other support in the game. But in this game, there's a Naga, and that means you can't drop heals and shields on the target who's being focused because Naga is going to make sure that won't happen. So I think Naga is pretty much the anti-Abaddon as support, and that's definitely making its presence felt in this game at the very least.
Invisibility!
So after those team fights in towers, you can see EG have opened up a significant gap in terms of experience as well as gold. They're going to net the courier. Again, the courier is not magically immune. Well, in terms of spells that go through BKB. And that courier had his staff as well as a smoke, and that was Cinerin's staff, so it looks like he's working his way towards a force staff, but that's going to be delayed for a while to say the least. And with that courier kill, looks like EG will go back on the offensive. Gonna already drop a soul assumption onto Universe, but Universe is already popping the mech. Gonna instead go to work on the tower. He still has wall as well as vacuum. Gonna drop the Iron Shell on Jo, as here comes the chakram by the timber saw, but slowly but surely Jo is still going to work on this tower. And now with the Reaver Gemini attack to back it up, EG will just take that tower very easily, and they're gonna get both of the familiars. Crit played such a fantastic group in game 1, but in game 2 his familiar micro has just been really disappointing to say the least. You know, Xiaofian's continuing to farm up. If Life have any hope, it's going to be on the back of Xiaofian. And I think he might have to actually go for the Satanic because of the Naga Siren ultimate, and that means his damage output will be lacking to say the least. You know, EG perhaps looking for an engagement. MSS infested with the last steer. The Dire Sentry will spot out the movement, but they're going to initiate onto Faye. Faye has the Fox Shield as well as Borrowed Time. He's going to pop the Borrowed Time right now, but he's not able to regain too much HP whatsoever. He's going to be the first one to die in this cage, and Net will be dropping to certain, but he has no trees to get hooked to. He will get forced out to safety by the Bat Rider, and will be able to chain on out of there. But a good engagement regardless, as now, without the Abaddon, this should be a relatively free Roshan for EG, unless they want to go back to defend their other tier 2s. Instead, it seems like EG are going to go on the offensive, try to take a tier 1, which will help defend the top tier 2 at the same instant, and also disrupt Link's farming area. And you can see Link just looking to scout on out of there. Universe finishes the Shiva's Guard, and if you look at the net worth, it's massively in favor of EG to say the least. Xiaofian is known for being probably the fastest farmer in the game, but he's still behind the Lifestealer, despite the tower count being, well, for the most part, well, it's slightly in favor of EG, but before that, it was mostly even. They ain't gonna fortify their structure. I don't think they'll be able to get here in time. You can see they're already gonna make a path to cut off Team Life's retreat, but Life gonna choose a smart direction to back off. And Jo will pop the drums, try and get in range of Crit. Crit obviously doesn't want to run cast Great Chill because he knows it will get dispelled. MSS going on the offensive will pick off Ace. Xiaofian gonna BKB. He's not yet gonna teleport on either because he doesn't have a TP scroll. This will be the death of Link. Link with an uncharacteristic lapse in judgment will die to the basher of Jo. And now Crit, can you actually escape? Crit will just barely be able to get away, and looks like the familiars will be slaughtered once again. One has already died. The second one is going to fall relatively soon. Vacuum to cut down the trees, and one swipe by Jo will finish the familiar. This is just looking out of control for Team Life. EG are just making every single move in the correct fashion, and this is, I mean, this is near perfect teamwork by EG.
Dire's bottom tower is under attack.
Cinnerin gonna force staff himself away. Safety mechanism will use as well. EG gonna instead turn their sights on the Crit, diving past the tier 2 as well as the tier 3. and we'll pick out the Visage. And Life don't have anybody you can split push since Xiaofeng's dead. It should be our tier 2, it should be Rosh, and the Rax will be threatened in a matter of moments by EG. As now Heister has finished a 30-minute Abyssal Armlet Drums Midas phase. Ridiculous farm by Jo. Not the best GPM, but he's been fighting, and you've got to respect that. He's still been able to keep up his farm as well, and such is the power of Leicester. He can fight and he can farm. Looks like Ace perhaps has intentions on going in for Roshan, but Jo already dropped an item. Vacuum will suck down Ace as EG easily scout out, saying, we play with Sexy but we all know about the Aegis sneak shenanigans, so we're just gonna get a preemptive vacuum. All while Fate's farming up, but what can a farm to Batten honestly do when this push comes to shove? And the answer is, I'm not too sure. You know, Ace, MSS, linked back by Ace should be okay, but this will prompt an easy push towards the tier 3 in the middle, and this might be the moment of reckoning for Team Life. They put up such a good fight in the first 2 games, but in this game, it seems like nothing went with their way. They lost every single lane. And I think the draft was, again, the large reason why things are not going Team Life's way in this game. Vacuum will suck Cern back. Cern getting pushed and pulled in every direction. Unfortunately, this time he didn't have a tree to hook to. So Cern's going to die, and as you all know, Timber saw a pretty strong base defender. Without that, Team Life are going to desperately miss him. They will likely lose their tier 3. And I don't even think Team Life have a glyph. They do not. And Ace, obviously very fearful on going for Firefly Lasso Initiation. Song of Siren will be used as Fear with a Blink Dagger out of nowhere. Gonna get the perfect fight. Here comes the wall. Vacuum, Death Ward, all gonna be used. Death Ward gonna bounce left and right. Look at it go. Well, Ace, he looked at it when. That was a very convincing win by EG after a bit of a struggle in Game 1, and after getting demolished in Game 2, EG struck back in spades in this Game 3 victory. Hopefully enjoy that. Thanks for watching. I'll be back bringing you more Netolic Pro League matches relatively soon whenever more are played. So hopefully enjoy these casts. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Peace.